and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red.
It is indeed Knowles who is leading the charge from the front, just backing off the pace there to ensure that it is one big group rolling out. And boy, are they up to pace quickly today.
And you can see the damage being done. We've shed Category 1
I tell you something,
riders
there's
already.
a number of riders who will not have expected this. And this is absolutely class racing here. Surprise the competition. Someone who's also having a great ride today, and that's Brittany Litton. She's attacked again. This is not her first attack in Category 2. And Lisa Hermansen yet again is on the front of the chasing pack with Asulia Kasani. Alzat 3 seconds back now as well. So this now is a battle royale between Hadlock, Kokkonen and Alzat in Category 3.
Category 4 hand over the lead of the race overall to Category 3 in the shape of Angel Hadlock in first place. Second and third places though, that is Novelin Kokkonen and Carolina Alzate. They are locked together, 20 seconds down.
The race is on here. They're at 27 kilometres into this 35 kilometre race. There's 400 metres to the polka dot banner. Bruni and Kolczynski need to dig. They do not want to let Fua go.
Catherine Fur and Merle Bruni are absolutely motoring the way up through the Category 2, 3 and 4 field. I think they're going to be on our heels in seconds.
I agree with you. It's not very long till we see these Category 1 leaders onto the back of the leaders in Category 2.
Leader on the road is Angel Hadlock, 34.2k covered. She's 100 metres, and we can see the chasers behind. Coming up behind, 12 seconds now, down to 10. It's yo-yoing, and Hadlock has to get her timing right. It's Angel Hadlock coming up to take away the win here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. First rider through the line, the winner in Category 3, it's Angel Hadlock. So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. And if you are out there celebrating Eid Mubarak, and I hope you're having an absolutely amazing time. I'm hoping our riders are going to have an equally amazing time, pretty much, because they're going to be out and racing. My name's Matt Payne. I'm here bringing you all of the race action once again with my co-host, the one and only Professor Emma Martin, plus a whole load of letters behind a name that I can't remember.
Not today.
Not today. You're just going to be Emma Martin today.
I'm just going to sit in the corner and watch the racing today.
I bet you don't. You're
incapable
incapable
I couldn't
of that.
do that. I am incapable of doing that because today we're going to have some great racing.
We are indeed, and we've got some great racing across all of the men's and women's race categories. For the women, we're in Australia. Emma, take us through the course.
Well, we are indeed in Australia, and we are on the outer loop course today, and you can see the first 15.3 kilometres. Well, there's not a huge amount, but the Sydney Sprint, and then we hit the Canberra Climb, 5.4 kilometres in length, an average gradient of 7.6%, but this is a stepped climb, 3 steps significantly on this climb, with the top one kicking to 16%. The riders then face a technical downhill and run into the finish of 14.3 kilometres to the checkered flag. In total, 35 kilometres of racing today, 593 metres of climbing. Face our riders between the start pens and the checkered flag.
Well, we'll be taking a little bit of a look at that profile again a little bit later in the show. Our riders, you can see, lined up, ready to go. Yellow, green, blue and red, categories 1, 2, 3 and 4 respectively. It's our category 4 riders who will be kicking off the race action. Each group on the road separated by 5 minutes and with just over 30 seconds to race start. Our team today who are down here, Nikki Lloyd, Simone Francis, spearheading the Petite Four attack on the racing here in qualifier race number 3. 4 qualifiers this month before our final. It's a big old month, is June. Who can step up to the plate? Well, we are going to find out. We are in with Ferran on the start line. You can see the banners declaring that it is Eid al-Adha Mubarak. It's time for our riders. Time to celebrate. Let's hit the roads and let's go racing.
Well, away go, Category 4. They are up and out of the start pen for qualifier number 3 in June. So Petit 4 on the start line, Lloyd and Francis, joined by a host of great racers today. 29 riders in total are on the start line in Category 4. Simkin was second last week. Bremner is here. Bogren, Kirchner, Jones, Connell, Baggett, Hamilton, Smithson, Al-Karbi, with Ferron, and they are racing up and out today.
And they're straight out of the pens, and they're onto this first climb. Emma, of those riders in there, who's going to hit this climb? Who would you expect really in Category 4 to be attacking on this first hill that we're hitting now?
Well, this first climb coming at 500 metres does indeed kick to 7%, Matt. You are quite right. I am expecting to see the likes of Simkin, Baggett, Lloyd, Francis right up towards the front here. These are the riders I think are really going to be in the mix. They're the riders who are going to be right at the front here pushing on. And take a look at that. Nikki Lloyd, well, she's doing exactly what I said. She's right up at the front, and so is Katie Baggett.
They are really, really strong riders. We're starting to see one or two riders now struggling with the pace, with the speed as it hits the hill. That transition into the gradient, it can catch you out, but looks like a little bit of recovery going on at the back of the group there.
Well, let me tell you something. Nikki Lloyd, I've been having a little chat with her this week. She started the Sunday Race Card back in July 2023, and in fact, the Outer Loop was the first course she ever raced, Matt. It took her over 2 hours to complete, and she swore she'd never do another one. Well, she did some training, she did some workouts, she did indeed the ADQ workout and won the jersey. Last time we were on this course in May, which was, last month, she finished third on the Outer Loop course. An hour faster than the very out, trying something new, dedicating yourself to some training, coming back, not giving up, absolute resilience, and shows just what you can do when you put your mind to something.
Definitely, and really, really strong riding by Nikki to improve so much on the way through. We do see a lot of riders improving pretty much non-stop all the way through. Some people get setbacks, and it's that ability to step back sometimes and then just refocus, which can make a difference. Great to see our riders underway, in with Barbara Zapata at the moment, another of our strong riders in Category 4. And the race field in Category 4, I always think sometimes it would be very easy to underestimate just how tough the racing is in Category 4, because it is really brutal.
It is tough in every single category, and I'll tell you something, if you come into the Sunday Race Cup in Category 4, Nikki Lloyd, it's the first time you've ever raced on an esports platform, don't be surprised if you find it hard, because I'll tell you something, it's hard in every category. Just because this is Category 4 does not make it any easier. And you can see there Narvaez riding, concentration, the level of concentration that our riders need to be up in this leading group is absolutely phenomenal. And you really need to spend time and effort riding the platform and racing, and you have to commit yourself to it, because you will get better. Now you can see in this Category 4 race field that first climb, that first little kicker has done real damage to the group. So we've now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups on the road at the moment. Now in this first group, Bremner, Lloyd, Narvaez, Fielder, Kennedy are in here. Bogren is here, so is Jones. Now Georgina Jones should go well today on this course, I think. There's an early prediction.
That is a very, very early prediction. We're going to see how our riders go on. Let's get our Category 3 riders underway first before we do anything else. It's time to get them up and racing. Now we've got the Grind My Gears squad here. Angel and Hadlock, who we saw do an amazing ride last week with Catherine Montoya and Novelin Kekkonen, and the team Golden Light, represented by the one and only Golden Light, but a big field of riders.
Yeah, it is indeed. 30 riders on the start sheet today. In fact, this is our largest race field just in terms of all 4 categories today in the women's race. Hadlock, as you said, and Kekkonen first and second last week. Alzat, Vink, Sonnerson, Ellis, Gracia, Bryson, Tokanis, Zabala, Almansori, Madeira, Tokova, Hill, Johnson. It is a who's who list of riders in this race field, and well, they are ready to go. Well, away go. Category 3, the blue jerseys. It's green 4 go, and they are off and out on to the outer loop course here in Australia. This is the Sunday Race Club. This is qualifier number 3 in June. We have one more qualifier next week before the final. Yes, indeed, it is a long month of Sundays, June 2024. 4 qualifiers and 1 final now, and you need 2 verified finishes to indeed qualify for that final. And with 4 qualifying races, riders have plenty of opportunity to make that final. So Al-Mansouri in the pack, so is Arias, Vink, Hyde, De Gracia is in here as well. Now Rebecca Johnson, she's on her travels at the moment, and my spies tell me that she is in Norway in an extremely rural location, camper vanning out her holidays. Well, indeed, we've seen the videos this morning from her. The sheep are running down the road. Somehow she has a connection, and boy, I tell you something, she's going to make the most of those hills and the most of that phenomenal view today, because that has got to be inspiration to ride hard today.
It definitely has, and I have to say I'm really, really impressed by their connection, the way that they managed to get absolutely everything dialed on the way out and round. Really, really is brilliant.
Well, I'm thinking they're setting the challenge, actually, Matt, because I'm thinking Full Speed Events should head to Norway and attempt to commentate from a camper van. Because,
no. Definitely not. Definitely not. We are going to keep an eye on these riders. It looks like this category 3 group are splitting massively, and we're just going to take a break. Let's catch up with you in a second.
The climb early on in this race has not caught out the Category 3 riders like Category 4. It is indeed one long strand of spaghetti at the moment, but I think they will soon become a little piece of gnocchi. A tight round bunch on the road, but Category 3, they are rolling and rolling fast. For those Italian food aficionados, well, that's what this bike race is about.
Oh, is it?
It is indeed. We're having a little Italian food day in Australia, because we've got some spaghetti and some gnocchi.
So we've got spaghetti and gnocchi. Italian food. You can sell that here in the Full Speed Events studios. We have been treated to a couple of Emma dishes of food, and Emma, for those that don't know, is actually quite a cooking fan. To the point where a little insider tells me that she has watched every single episode of every single MasterChef Australia.
Oh, I have actually. MasterChef Australia is my favourite. Well, you got to do these things right. Can I just caveat it? I am a professor of hospitality and tourism.
Well, there you go. And you said I couldn't mention the fact you were a professor. So we will see if Emma's food of preparation to give us all the stamina and the energy we need. I have to say, to put this into context, for the racing, that Emma was showing off some of the dishes that she can do to give us the food and the fuel we need to ride or to commentate all day. So there you go. Let's see if everybody's fueled up. Are they on the pasta? Have they been carbo loading in Category 2? Team Collide are here. The one and only German Prado with Ursula Cassani. I mean, what a duo for Team Collide. And Prado and Cassani, both riders going very, very well at the moment.
They are indeed. 27 riders on the start sheets. And I'll tell you something, we've got some new riders in here as well who should go well. Jill Pruitt is on the start sheets today, but let's not discount Hannah Giannatti. You know, she rode really well, the young rider. coming second last week. Vittori is on form, but McAlpine, Sanchez, London, Weston, Smithers, Estelle, Kong, Walkenhurst are all in here today. Now, Category 2 was 0.9 of a second last time we were here on the outer loop. Can it be even less in time gap on the finish line today? Well, Category 2 are up and out of the start pen and swinging across the boardwalk, resplendent in those green jerseys. It's a big, big pack indeed. We've got big fields in all of the categories today, with 108 women on the start sheets today. So Sanchez, Giannatti, Vittori, Castano, Wagner, Weston, all in mix here, heading towards that first climb. Now, that first climb coming at around 500 meters into the course. It's very, very short, but it is steep at 7%. And on the top right-hand corner of your screen, you can see we are rolling into it at the moment in the foothills. There it is, that kicker up the top, and then you can see it dropping and then leveling out again. This course, really challenging start, and really key to this is knowing where this climb hits and being well warmed up before the gun.
Well, you can just see at the moment we got in with Kimberly Miller here. Kimberly out of the saddle as we come into this climb, really revving the pedals around there. Sits back down, you can see sucking in the oxygen, making sure that she's right in position. The Category 2 have gone out hard. This climb here, it can do so much damage. Not necessarily breaking the groups apart, but in terms of the actual damage to your legs, they're going to sting after this, because nobody seems to take it easy. There just seems to be an absolute annihilation on there. And we are coming up here, you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, Category 2, they're represented by the green dots. They're going over the top of the climb. In the tunnel underneath, you can see the damage that's been done to our Category 3 riders, because there is dot to dot in those blue dots that represent that race field. Now, we are in with Tinklei's German Prado at the moment, who is on the front here with Miller. And looks like Joe sat down. I'm loving the mascot in the background alongside the trophies behind her. There, that is absolutely brilliant there. So you can just see really focused, rolled over the top, looking smooth on the front of that Group 1 rider, dispatched off the back in Category 2. So 3 categories away, Categories 4, 3 and 2, which will leave us just Category 1 to go. They are on the top of the tree, but Category 2, they've got a 5-minute head start, remember, in front of Category 1. They're chasing the group in front of them. That's Category 3. They had a 5-minute head start on Category 2. And, of course, our leaders on the road are Category 4, who are even further up the road. Now, in with Gina Di Grazia here, Emma, one of our super strong riders, and no surprises to see her in the sprint jersey.
No, none at all. So Gina Di Grazia here in that sprint skin suit at the moment, meaning she set the fastest time in Category 3 through the first sprint section. That is the Sydney sprint. So the Sydney sprint being the first sprint section at all, as Gina Di Grazia reaches for her water bottle in real life, keeping an eye on that group as she does so, making sure she's tight and focused in that group. Now, Hill is there, Kekkonen, Marin, Beltran, Hyde is there, Sonnerson as well. So class field made the selection in Category 3.
Great to see that group together, and you could just see Gina Di Grazia there, the rider who we know is going to go for those sprints, using this, I think, as training as well as flat-out racing, and mixing the two together, which is really good use of your time when we talk about coaching. Emma, of course, being a qualified coach as well as a professor, will know, and we'll certainly be preaching the make sure when you go out and do something, you do multiple runs on the training sessions. So let's see how these riders get on, how many of these riders will get multiple goals ticked off on their training list. Now, Category 4, 3 and 2 are underway. It's time to take a look at our Category 1 riders, because they are lined up on the start line now. Our big teams are here. The Effetto Skier squad with Gonzalez, Roya, Bassoni, Giovanni and Whitelaw. The Peak Performers, which is Van Hove, Kolczynski and Sidlick. And then the Sweat Sensations, Velt, Fua, Bruni and Koivunen. And that's half your race field. However, there's a lot more riders, all of which who could challenge for this title on the way through. We'll go have a run through these in a bit more detail once we've got our riders off from the start. It's time to go racing here on MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club on qualifier number 3 in June. Our Category 1 riders now 35 kilometres, 593 metres separate them from the finish. It's time for them to see what they can do here in Australia on the outer loop.
So Category 1 are out of the start pen. Mina Koivunen right up at the front. Tell you something, great pictures on Instagram this week of her and Catherine Fua, bearing in mind they are teammates, out riding and training together. Outdoors, beautiful sunshine, great mountains. Indoors, side by side on the turbo trainer.
No way. Brilliant.
Absolutely phenomenal. So Koivunen and Fu are doing the business this week in training, like they do the business each week on the Sunday Race Club. Well, great to see the sweat sensations sweating it out together.
Brilliant to see the meetups, the community that's forming here amongst our Sunday Race Club riders. Do please send those pictures over. Make sure you tag in at MyWhoosh on Instagram and on Facebook. Tag in at Biking Emma as well. It's at Biking_Emma and at Matt Fixer Pain as well. We'd love to see what you're up to, whether you're out and about in Norway, like we have seen with Rebecca Johnson, whether you're Mina Koivunen, who's on our screens at the moment, out and doing a meet-up with Catherine Fua. Maybe we're discussing how hard to go on the first climb here today, because they've already got one rider fighting to get back on in. Just seeing Tiffany Penner making her way into this group, starting to work her way up towards the front. Penner, I know, has been working hard down in the gym, improving the strength, doing a lot of strength
I'll
training.
tell you something, she rode really well on this course last time we were out here in Qualifier 3 in May. Penner taking a 5th spot. In fact, it was Fua, Bruni, Kolczynski, Larson and Penner last time we were on the outer loop back in May. But we've got some new riders in the mix today. Lisa Hermansen has come up from Category 2. Kate McCarthy is here. Kate Tridden is here as well. Elise Gallegos, Gabby Nordin. So new range of riders in here as well. So really going to be interesting to see how they do.
So, Emma, you just mentioned Lisa Hermansen has come up from Category 2. We've seen Lisa racing in Category 1 and in Category 2.
Yeah.
Because she's yo-yoing up and down, why is that?
Well, they are dynamic categories, Matt, and it does depend on, it depends on a number of things. It depends on your form. It depends on how you're going. Remembering the Sunday Race Club rides every Sunday, 52 weeks of the year. You cannot hold your form the whole time. So depending upon where you are in your form may depend where you are in the categories, because some riders do sit between those categories, and if they're on good form, they may be a category above. If they're in a more non-racing period of their training program, they may well be in the category below. The dynamic nature of this really does mean that we see people progress, people come back, and we see movement between these categories. Very dependent upon who is in the race field at the time.
With the aim being to give everybody a fantastic racing experience and to race against your peers in what is
a matched
category. And hopefully everybody's out. I'm not sure enjoying is the phrase. It's one of those funny things, isn't it? Racing for me always seems to be, it's really enjoyable somewhere in there deep down, but it's definitely more fun afterwards thinking back than it was necessarily at the time, because if you're racing hard, you're going to be really pushing. Now, this Category 1 group are all together at 2.3 kilometres covered, heading for 2.4 and 2.5, with the exception one rider already distance off the back. Riders need 2 qualifying rides to make it through to the final. Now, not all the riders are going to absolutely nail every single race, are they? Because of what you said, because basically they could be training, they could be racing. We're here, as you said, 52 weeks in the year on a Sunday, and that does make things a little bit difficult. It's very hard to hold your form. Well, it's impossible to hold the very best form.
You can't.
If you're holding the same level for 52 weeks in the year,
something's wrong.
Yes, something is actually wrong, because you should be dropping and then peaking. Now, we can see all 4 groups of riders out around the course, here on the outer loop. You can see the category 4, the furthest along. They've gone along, they've gone down the dip, they've gone through the tunnels and they're out the other side. Category 3, well, they are in the tunnels, they're about to hit the climb. Category 2, this is the rise that sweeps us around towards the bridge and then into the descent down in towards those tunnels. And at the moment, Julia Montgomery using this riser here, which goes up to just shy of 5%, to really stretch this group, or stretching her legs, stretching the riders and making them work as we come onto the bridge. And it continues to rise through the bridge, and then we start dropping down. We start descending. You can just see out to the riders right, the Sydney Opera House here in Australia, those iconic arched roofs. As we make our way up towards the high point, the gradient starts to come off. The group starts to reform, a little bit less strung out, but that speed will pick up as we drop down. We go down in through the tunnels, and then we have the climb back out again. Category 2 at the moment on that bridge. Pretty much all together. We have got riders shed, but it's not substantial numbers yet.
No, it's not at all. And I think for me, Category 2 may be one of the closest races today. So in Qualifier 3 in May, if I look across the 4 categories and look at the finishes, in Category 4, Jones and Francis sprinted it out for the finish, 0.9 of a second, but the top 4 were all within 3 seconds. In Category 2, there was a 0.9 second gap in the sprint between Kasani and Vittori. Julia Montgomery, I think from the look on her face, is adamant she's staying in the mix today. In Category 3, Hadlock and Piccolo, 5 seconds. In Category 1, 5 seconds separated the top 3 of Fua, Bruni and Kulczynski. For me, this is going to be a close finish today, and I think the closest finish is going to come in Category 2 because of the quality of that race field.
Well, we will see. I think this is our first shot of a rider with a team car in the background. This is there you are, Julia. If you don't win the race today, you've won the competition for getting the first team car in the background of your shot. Brilliant to see the vehicle there. Ian B behind Julia, who you can see on the left-hand side of your screen in Category 2, right-hand side of your screen. Well, on the other way up rather than down, it was Category 3, but we're in with Category 1. They're coming in through the sprint here. This is the first of 2 sprints, the Sydney sprint. Remember, this gets you points for the green jersey, gets you the bragging rights. It's not going to be necessarily race winning, but that is a big kick from McCarthy.
Oh, McCarthy's going out, and she's going out early, and that is really interesting. So taking the green skin suit, setting the fastest time in the sprint, Mary-Kate McCarthy. It's her first time here, but I tell you something, she is a class rider. So 26.137 seconds ahead of her Manson. Al-Mansouri in Category 3 coming in 3rd place, and then Kulczynski, Tidholm, Koisland, Van Hove, Engstrom and De Gracia, and then Penner rounding out the top 10. Now, McCarthy, New Zealand rider, has not been outside the top 5 in New Zealand in the national individual time trial or the national road race since 2020.
Since 2020?
If she's finished. There's only one race. She didn't finish the road race this year. But in the individual time trial in 2020, 4th, 2021, 4th, 2023, 4th, 2024, 3rd. In the road race, she was 5th in 2020, 2nd, taking the silver medal in 2021, 5th in 2023. She didn't finish the road race this year. So if she has completed the race, not outside the top 5 in her national championships in the time trial or the road race since 2020.
So if you're racing and you're not, McCarthy, that was your warning. That's a rider to watch, and some. That's another one to add to the list, along with all the rest of the race field.
World-class riders.
That's what we love to see. Now, speaking of world-class riders, Kristen Kulczynski on the front of the group at the moment, pushing at 5.8. She knows that she's coming in towards this climb. She's going to take a little bit of a run at this, but she's going to climb up. You can just see that we're at pretty much the same kind of spot where we joined our Category 2 riders coming in. This time we're in with a bunch with Gabriela Nordin looking on to the leading rider Kolchinsky with that little bit of a gap, 3 seconds up the road. The road will sweep round to the right, goes up onto the bridge. The gradient starts to kick in. It will top out at about 5% here on this little bit of a rise, and you can see that kick is coming now. Joanna Tidholm looking to move across the gap here, wants to make the pressure even more than has been applied by Kolchinsky. She's starting to come across the gap. Penner behind Larson, Sidley, Van Hove really now need to work out what they're going to do. Are they going to let riders get a gap? Because what they want to do is break this group down. If they can break this group down before they go on the climb, get to the top of the climb, we've got a long run in. If you've not watched any of our previous races on the outer loop, it is a brilliant race route.
It is a brilliant race route, and it is very interesting to see the different tactics that are applied on this race route as well. Some riders riding and pushing, and categories pushing really, really hard to the 15.3 kilometre mark, which is where the Canberra climb starts. Other categories taking it quite steady and waiting to sort things out on the climb. So it's going to be interesting to see. Now, category 3 on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see multiple groups now on the road because, well, this indeed has been shaken up in category 3. They're at 12.4 kilometres into this race. So they're not on the climb yet, but huge amounts of damage has been done to that group, you know, in category 3.
So from category 3, we move across to category 1. Cornelia Engstrom in here. Familiar setting for Cornelia here. This is in with this leading group. She's a rider who is really, we talk about really consistently riding up at the top level, and Cornelia Engstrom definitely one of those riders. The Swedish squads here very, very strong indeed. Looking very smooth here. Quickly out of the saddle. This little bit of a descent just causing a little bit of a kick there in category 1. Meanwhile, we're across in category 3 with Musa Al-Mansouri, who has just seen the category 2 riders come in and through. Now, Musa Al-Mansouri has got the green sprint jersey in category 3, but she's not in with the main group. That means she's using the sprints for training on the way through. Looks like she's just stepping up the pace here to try and jump in with those riders as long as she can. That's on the left-hand side of your screen. Right-hand side of your screen, we are in with category 4. They are about to hit the base of the climb. This is our one and only categorized climb. It's the Canberra climb. It is our category 2 climb. They have got a climb of just under 5.5 kilometers in front of them. And as this group starts to make its way off the bridge that has the polka dot arch in here, it is that polka dot jersey. Really interesting fact on the MyWhoosh Instagram page, and we're explaining some really great little explainers in there, and they're explaining why it's a polka dot jersey. Now, we could test Emma's trivia knowledge here, but I'm going to...
Something to do with a chocolate bar.
Well, do you know what? It is basically the logo of the original sponsor was basically a round disc with little points on it, but it's basically a round red disc, and it's inspired by that, and that's where it comes from. So make sure you subscribe to @MyWhoosh for that. Make sure also that you subscribe to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Please do give us a follow and a like. Subscribe on there. Does 2 things. 1, it helps us, which is obviously what everybody wants to do. 2, you get notified when there's new videos on there, not just for the Sunday Race Club, but also things like the updates for the V3.7.0. I know that sounds really boring, but fortunately we had Rod Loxley doing a video for us on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel, all about the video on demand being on Apple, things like data recovery, things like the bot rise, the data migration, the new worlds, Hydriat, as well as California. Jump on board, have a look, go click that after you finish watching the Sunday Race Club, of course.
Well, after you finish watching the Sunday Race Club, don't finish watching the Sunday Race Club. Stay with us, because Hadlock is in the mix here with Hill, Montoya, Beltran, Kokkonen, De Gracia and Sonnerson. These are the leading group in Category 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 riders. We said Category 3 was splitting up, and it has done indeed. They're on the roll in at the moment to the Canberra climb. You can see that on that top right-hand corner graphic. And on the bottom left-hand corner graphic, you can see who's ahead of them on the road. So this leading group in Category 3 are the blue group coming out of the red blob. They've just gone past Grace Paolo, one of the Category 4 riders, and they further up the road are indeed the rest of the Category 4 race field. The leaders in Category 4 already on the climb, but this group are motoring in Category 3. Hadlock, Kokkonen, De Gracia, Beltran and Montoya. That's your leading group.
So Category 3 leaders, it's about 13 seconds, I think, the last time check we had coming back, just extending as they come around the left-hand turn and head into the climb. They're chasing the leaders in Category 4. That's the right-hand side of your screen, and you can see that the leading group is now fractured into 3 in Category 4. They are up the road, they are on the climb, they are ahead of Category 3, but this is an express train par excellence. They are absolutely flying, and I cannot see these guys slowing down when they hit this climb because of who we have in here. This really is a who's who. Will they be able to maintain that pace? Can they keep hold of Angel Hadlock on the climb? Because surely we are going to see an attack from Hadlock.
Well, Hadlock has been phenomenal on this course before. She did indeed win last time we were out in May, but I tell you something, Novelin Kokkonen, I think she's going to have something to say about that. She was second last week, so absolutely on form at the moment. So the Grind My Gears squad of Hadlock, Montoya and Kokkonen. Kokkonen, can she beat her teammate Hadlock today? Well, De Gracia, Hill, Beltran are all in the mix at the moment. Wow, it's going to be a big ask, but it's possible.
I could see an attack here from Hadlock and Kokkonen together, let's face it, because they have got the strength to do that. They've got Montoya in there as well. 3 out of the 6 riders are all from the same team in Category 3 in that leading group. Now, back in with Category 1, we've hit the climb. The hill climb specialist, Kristen Kolczynski, on the move, on the attack, opening up the throttles, and behind it is McCarthy, Mary McCarthy, who is chasing behind. Larson now starting to respond to this, but this is a big gap. 15 seconds at the moment for Kristen Kolczynski. Now, we said it was fairly predictable that Hadlock would attack on the climb when we hit the Canberra climb. Is there an uphill section where we're not going to see Kristen Kolczynski attack?
Well, do you know what? I'm looking at this thinking, if I was the rest of the squad, I would be waiting for Fua to lead the charge. But can I tell you something? Catherine Fua is not joined the race today.
Oh, dum bum 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 bum. Newsflash.
So she might be on the start sheets, but she was not on the start line as far as I can tell from the results through the first sprint. So whilst everybody might be racing or might be waiting for somebody else to take the lead, who is going to take the lead in bringing back Kolczynski? Or I can't believe Category 1 riders would just sit there and think, yeah, we'll let her go.
I would.
Why
I would
you?
At this stage.
Well, if you let Kolczynski get 22 seconds with the Canberra climb ahead, no one is going to catch her.
You've a long way to that finish,
nope,
and if you work as
her.
a group, you will come back. I wouldn't be putting the effort in on the climb. I'd wait until you're over the climb, and then the speed picks up. Then the advantage of being in the group is stronger, because when you're on the climb, there's less advantage to be in a pack. When you're on the flat, and there is a flat section, it's quite a long flat section between that climb and the start of the main climb. That's when you come back. Now, just taking a little bit of a look on the screen, we've got Angel and Hadlock, Novelin Kokkonen, Gina De Gracia, all riders in Category 3 at various places on this race route. Interesting to look at the different levels of composure.
Well, I was about to say, I thought Hadlock looked really composed there because Kokkonen is digging in hard and so is De Gracia, but I just saw a grimace from Hadlock. I couldn't possibly believe it was that easy. So, grimace from Hadlock. digging in deep from Kekkonen. Kekkonen is pulling it back to Hadlock, and I'll tell you something, no one is letting her go. Montoya is on the back of that group with the Gracia. I'll tell you something, look how hard those racers are working to stay on that wheel up this climb. It's 13.5%.
And the time gap is over a minute. They've smashed nearly a minute into them. It was 13 seconds as they came into the climb, the gap. And now all of a sudden that gap has opened up. Emma Sonderson is at 54 seconds
to
behind.
The chasing group
So
in
it's nearly a minute.
3.
So it's gone from 15 seconds, a quarter of a minute, to nearly a minute in the space of the first few kilometres of the climb. In Category 3, will we see such an explosion between the riders? It is a big pack of Category 2 riders coming into the start of this climb. That's the polka dot banner in front. They come past our banners either side of the road at the moment, but it is the climb in front of them. We're in with Ursula Ksani at the moment. We've got Weston in here, Garea in the mix, Walkenhurst, London, Jaramillo. So all key contenders looking like they're pretty much in here. Lam Kong is in the mix as well. Sanchez, a rider who we know can climb well. On the left of your screen, so that's Ursula Ksani riding indoors at the moment. On the screens on the right, her avatar in the thick of the action as the gradient starts to increase.
The gradient is increasing, and Category 2 are our third race field onto the Canberra climb today. They are going to face a climb with 3 distinct sections, or 3 stepped sections. The first one we saw when we were just in with our Category 3 riders kicks to around 14%. The steepest section is right at the top of this climb. It does indeed get to over 16%. It's got an average gradient of 7.6, and it is 5.4 kilometres in length. We then have a 14.3 kilometre run to the checkered flag that has a technical downhill and is rolling. I would say there's not any more significant climbs on it, but it is rolling. But it does also mean that we tend to see riders sweeping up the categories who started in front of them. And for our new watchers today, Category 4 starts first on the Sunday Race Cup. They start 5 minutes before Category 3, 10 minutes before Category 2, and 15 minutes before Category 1. So in some respects, you could also say this is a chase race, because they have the motivation of an earlier category starting before them. And we often do see the riders coming together. Now, whilst I say it can look like a chase race, it obviously isn't, because you are only racing your own category.
Indeed, and that is why all of our category riders will be looking at each other within their category. You can see them on your screens. Category 1, top left-hand side of your screen, top right-hand side. Category 2, bottom left. That's the leader, Angel Hadler, in Category 3. And the right-hand side, we're in with Nicky Lloyd in Category 4 on the bottom right-hand side. 18 kilometres covered nearly for Category 4, chasing hard at 17.1. The leaders in Category 3 at 16.2k, the leaders in Category 2. And our sole leader, Kristen Kolczynski, who has opened up even more of a lead in Category 1. She's on the sweeping bench. She's about one left-hand turn away, I think, at the moment from the start of the climb. She'll be on it soon. But the Category 2 group, this was a big group. This is a big group.
It still is a big group, and we said right at the beginning of this show, this Category 2 race field is so well matched. Vittori, Walkenhurst, McAlpine, Montgomery, all in the mix there, and you can see them all working on this climb. Currently around 7%, and the size of the group is phenomenal. Kuma is in there, Giannatti is in there, McAlpine, Weston, London, Davison, Jaramillo, all in the mix still in this Category 2 race. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I count 15 riders still together in Category 2, heading up the Canberra climb.
A big group. It's not splitting. When will the action go? When is the pin going to be pulled? Remember, this is a 3-step climb, as Emma explained earlier on. 3 steps, 2 flatter sections. The first flat section is actually slightly downhill for some of its length. and it's quite a long one. So that could well be where we're going to see a movement as we go over the top of the climb. Meanwhile, Kristen Kolczynski, the rider on our screens now, well, that gap has opened. It was 15 seconds. Now it is
38. I've just picked my jaw up off the floor. Kolczynski is absolutely killing it today. She attacked before the climb, and let's bear in mind, viewers, the climb is her strong point. So attacking before the climb, and she's going into the Canberra climb with a 38-second advantage.
Do you think she's taking advantage of the fact that her nemesis, Catherine Fua, who has been the rider to beat, I mean, Catherine has been the rider to beat on all the races, is not here? Kolczynski, debut win, I think, not all that long ago on the Sunday Race Club. This could be win number 2. She wants to be well ahead of this field. She's gone into the climb. For those people who haven't watched previous shows, who don't follow Catherine, to follow Kristen Kolczynski on social media, basically a hill climb, really great hill climber, setting course records across the states all the way through their hill climb season, which has just happened. Now, she's gone into the climb with a 40-second lead. Can she keep going at that pace? Can she continue to extend it? And what will this group do about this? Because at the moment behind, we are seeing riders starting to go into the red zones. You can see that with those chevrons on the right-hand side of your screen, indicating the depth that the riders are digging to try and stay with the leading group. You can see Mina Koivunen out of the saddle here, really pushing on, kicking over the pedals at the moment, and it is doing damage. We're seeing Vicky Whitelaw, she's out of the group at the moment, but we are starting to see the gas opening. Pennant in the danger zone, so it looks like it is Hermansen. Koivunen wanting to stay with this group. She's got to keep pushing here. Can't afford to lose the wheels at this stage. It will get steeper, and she's making the junction. She's coming back up to the riders in front. Good recovery there, and back into the pack.
Well, 4 qualifiers in 1 month does mean we see riders come in and take the opportunity also to stay away and do something else for a weekend. And that is what we're seeing with Catherine Fua today. But let me tell you, there is not opened the top spot because she's away. Their opportunity to take the top spot is always there, and Kolczynski took the top spot on the Jebel Hafit in the May final. In fact, Merle Bruni was second there, Fua finishing third. So let's not feel that, you can only have the top spot when Fua is away. She might be strong and she might be phenomenally on form at the moment, but that top spot can be taken and is taken by other riders when she is in the race.
I could ask you to back that up with some data, but I'm not going to, because I know that the searching might take a little bit of a while. Whilst we're live and we are watching all 4 categories, whether you're category 1, 2, 3 or 4, we always love the exciting racing. We love it when you're on the attack, when somebody goes and tries to make the racing. And that's what we're getting across all of our categories. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen, Georgina Jones, Melissa Simpkin, Bridget Bremner, Rachel Kennedy, Manuela Vasquez, Isabella Alsate, and Barbara Zapata, with a group there leading the way up. Pretty much, not much change of position. On the left-hand side of your screen, category 3 leaders. Well, it is leaders at the moment. Hadlock, Kekkonen and Hill are together. Then we've got a little bit of a gap back. Beltran is at 4 seconds. Montoya is at about 30 seconds on this group. And you can see at the moment that, in fact, Beltran is really trying to push to go back into this group. She's the rider just behind. And I think she's just going to make contact here. So very interesting riding here by Hadlock, Hill, and Kekkonen. They are chasing up behind Milena Alvarez on the left-hand side of your screen. It's going to take them, when they go past Alvarez, it'll take them up to the borders of the top 10 on the road. Remembering, of course, in front are the Category 4 leaders, the top 10 in the Category 4, led by Jones, who's setting the pace still on the front of this group. Bridget Bremner chasing the back wheel, just starts to move alongside here. Will they be able to keep this pace? What can they do when they're getting caught? They're at 19 kilometres. The summit of the climb is at 20.7k. So we still have a flat section and that final steep ramp to go for Category 4 and Category 3. Category 2, they're even further down. They've just come off that first flat section. Has it stayed together, Emma?
700 metres behind the leaders in Category 3 are the leaders in Category 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, still at least 9 riders in the group. So they are starting to shed riders. But it is still a big group. Giannatti, Walkenhurst, Cassani, London is in here. So is Vittori. So is Wagner. So it is still Elizabeth Castano is still in here as well. So really, really strong. The chasing group now in Category 2. You can see that on the bottom left of the Category 2 screen. They are not far behind. So it is splitting. It is spreading back down the mountainside. But it is still a very strong group at the front. German Prado still in here as well. Now, Prado, this is her first qualifier for the month because she's been away at the Asian Games.
So she needs to ride this week, and she needs to ride next week to qualify for the finals. And knowing that German, she's going to do that.
This is Hannah Giannatti, the young rider, pushing on here. She's now got 6 seconds. She's utilised that group of Category 3 riders that the leaders in Category 2 have caught, and she's pushed on and passed them. And now look at the gap. So Category 2 and Category 3 group behind, and Giannatti at the moment has a 3-second gap on the leading group in Category 2.
The chase behind coming from Vittori, from Cassani, Wagner, Lundin. Then it's Prado, Walkenhurst and Castano just distanced off the back a little bit at the moment. Remember, of course, because we're going uphill for the same time gap, the distance between the riders is decreased compared to being downhill where the pace is faster, and therefore the gap, the physical distance, is longer. Now on the climb, Dana Wagner working well here, sat in with this group of chasers, looking smooth, looking very, very strong here at the moment, keeping out of trouble and in position. She will want to be right in contention because it's a long run down to the finish, and if you go over the top in here, I'm going to quote an Emmerism here. We've had Porterisms, this is an Emmerism. You've got to treat the top of the climb as your finish line here today.
You do, and Wagner is doing exactly that, because look at the effort she is putting in there to stay with this group. So Wagner, Vittori, Cassani, all chasing Giannatti up the road, and they are absolutely motoring it. Sarah Lundin now in trouble, being gapped behind as these 3 riders continue to chase Giannatti up the road. Well, in Category 3, they are 600 metres further up the climb at the moment. Kekkonen, Hadlock and Hill, we now very clearly have these 3 riders leading Category 3. Lorena Beltran 3 seconds back. She's doing the chasing and she's working so hard. They are on the final section here, and those riders ahead of them that you can see at the moment are the leaders on the road. They are the leaders of Category 4, and they are about to be caught by the leaders of Category 3.
I'm going to make a prediction here. It's not a race prediction, but it's definitely a racing prediction. My prediction is that they're only just going to catch them before they come to the top of the summit, because of the distance we've got. It isn't actually that far to the top of the climb. We have got basically 1K.
1,000 metres.
1,000 metres, which doesn't sound a lot, but remember, we are on a massive climb.
Doesn't sound a lot.
1,000 metres. So 1,000 metres for me is about 1,200 paces on the flat. I can walk that nice and easy. Ride it nice and easy on the flat. You stick us on a big hill like this with this gradient. Exactly. It is an incredibly tough climb, and that is one of the reasons I think it's going to take them actually quite a long time to come back. Beltran is really interesting. She's been yo-yoing in that group behind Hill, behind Hadlock, behind Kekkonen, and she's been really fighting to stay with them. You can see the distance when you look on the screen. It looks nothing. It really looks like she could just reach out and just borrow a gel off somebody in front out of their back pocket. However, because it is so steep, that's just so tough. And I think for me, this is where mentally it's so hard, because when you're on the flat and you're motoring along fast, you're feeling good, it's really, to get back a gap feels great. But you go onto the climb, it feels like nothing. It looks like nothing, and yet you know your legs are telling you that's not true. Your legs are screaming.
The commitment from Beltran, the dedication, the resilience to stay there, to keep on fighting and to try and continue to keep close in the group rather than to go, oh, I just can't do it, I've had enough, and just go off the pace, is absolutely phenomenal, and absolutely credit to her at the moment on this climb.
And she cannot afford to lose this group. She really, really needs to be on that group, doesn't she? Because as they go over the top, the pace will pick up. They're going to go diving down. There's a very short plateau at the top where you can get back on easily. And then the leading group are going to be diving off the side of the mountain, off the side of the Canberra climb. And at that point, you've got to be in the wheels to stay in. Now, this group are going to get a little bit of benefit. There's not much drafting advantage on the way up, but there is a little, and they're going to get that. They're going to make the catch here. They are at what is going to be effectively 20k, so my prediction would be utterly wrong in terms of it's going to take them to the top. Not quite happily on my mistakes. They are going to go right up on along side, and I think they're going to go past. So the leaders in category 3, catching the leaders on the road in category 4. They're going to go past them. You can see the riders making the way up here. Let's see if they can open up a substantial gap. Can Beltran come back from this?
Well, that is a really good question, but at the moment, Hadlock, Kekkonen and Hill, the 3 riders leading in category 3, take over the lead on the road today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We're on the Outer Loop course in Australia. They are now at 20.1 kilometres into the 35-kilometre race. They've got 600 metres of climbing still to go. Bremner, Jones, Simkin, Vasquez and Zabata are the riders leading category 4. So group of 3 leading category 3, group of 5 leading category 4. This is going to be a great race to the finish line at 35 kilometres. There's 15k still to go, and I'll tell you something, with 600 metres of steep climbing still ahead. They're about to take the right-hand corner. Well, further back down the mountain, this is Kolchinsky leading the category 1 race, and I'll tell you something, Maria Holdcroft is doing a phenomenal effort on this climb at the moment. Now, let's just remind our viewers, there was about a 40-second gap.
38, but call it 40 seconds.
Yeah, and Maria Holcroft now at 32 seconds further back. So interesting to see. It's about 150 metres behind Kolchinsky. So Kolchinsky in 1, Holdcroft in 2, Tidholm in 3, Van Hove in 4. Interesting to see this with gaps on the road. Now, one of the things that will be very interesting is the 14.3 kilometre run to the finish, because the riders are going to have groups of other categories ahead of them. And when you take that catch and that added momentum of the group running to the finish is going to be very interesting. But Kolchinsky, she is doing what Kolchinsky does. She is climbing superbly. Maria Holcroft on the right-hand side of your screen is also putting in a phenomenal effort today, but let's not take anything away from Holdcroft. She has been up there. So let me just take a look. Last week, she finished 4th on the Passo Alto. The week before in Belgium, she finished 2nd. So she's on some great form at the moment, and she's showing us that. Can Kolchinsky hold this to the line?
It's going to be so interesting. This is a really different scenario than I can't remember a time when we've had this happen, where we have had solo riders pretty much all the way up the climb in the lead of category 1. You got Kolchinsky, then you got a gap to Holcroft, then you got a gap to Tidholm, then you got a gap to Sidlick, who has a fractional gap. You got Van Hove almost on the wheels. Then you got another gap to McCarthy and Larson. Then there's another gap behind them. We are in 1s and 2s. There is no big chase group. This is going to work to Kolchinsky's advantage unless the group comes together.
Well, and that I think is going to be really interesting, because the gaps between these sections, I'm going to call them sections of riders rather than groups of riders. But the gaps between these category 1 duos is not actually that big. I think this is all going to be about how coordinated the groups or the duos can work together with the riders around them to try and pull it back on that long run to the finish.
Well, Sidlick is a teammate of Kolchinsky, so will she want to pull that back, or will she want to get into the top 5 and get into that prize money? The scenarios are almost endless here. I can't wait to see what happens, but we're going to have to wait because they're a little way off the summit. They're certainly a lot further than the riders in Category 3 because they are going to lead over the top. Now, who is going to take away the polka dot skin suit? Who is going to have that jersey, the white jersey, with the red dots on as they come over the top? Hadlock, Kilkelvin and Hill are on the way. Beltran is in no man's land a little bit at the moment. We're going to have to see what happens as she comes up towards the summit. So underneath the banner they go. All three riders pretty much side by side, Hadlock, Hill and Kekkonen, and it looks like it's Philippa Hill who has the fastest time. That's the rider in the polka dot skin suit in Category 3, taking that fastest time by points. Well, it's not even that, it's 0.02 of a second, basically. So that's 200ths of a second separating Hill from Hadlock. Then it's Kekkonen, then Beltran. Beltran goes over the top. Emma, that time gap, about 15 seconds at the line, was it?
It was about 15 seconds at the line, and now this is going to be a really interesting race for Beltran. How much can she pull this group back? And this is going to be about how much rest and recovery do the group take, and how much push can Beltran do? Can she utilise the momentum of this technical descent to come back on? Can she really show us that resilience that she has been showing already on the climb, on the descent? She's working at it, you know. Well, whilst Beltran works to close the group down, this is Category 2. The leaders in Category 2 are now working their way up towards the polka dot banner. There's the leaders in Category 3, and the leaders in Category 4 have already gone through. Jones, Vasquez, Brenner, Zabata and Simpkins, that leading group of 5 in Category 4. This is a leading group of 5 in Category 2. Vittori, Cassani, Giannatti, Wagner, Lundin and they are changing positions so quickly I can't call the names.
It's Sarah Lundin, Ursula Cassani, Serena Vittori, Dana Wagner and Hannah Giannatti. I only know that because I was looking at the right screen at the right time whilst everyone was trying to look at another screen simultaneously. So, over the top, the fastest rider up the climb in Category 2 is Sarah Lundin, taking away the polka dot skin suit. Really good move by her, but Wagner now pulling that on. Her time goes through at the top. So, really interesting to see these riders that go over and through. Left-hand side of your screen. Oh, the express train's on its way.
Well, Kulczynski sees the polka dot banner. She's going to be the first rider in Category 1 over the line, and she's got to take the fastest time at the moment. Will one of the chasers go quicker than Kulczynski? Who knows? Because that is Holdcroft, and Holdcroft on the right-hand side of your screen can also see the polka dot banner. There we go. Kulczynski goes through. She does indeed move through into the polka dot skin suit at the moment. She's the first Category 1 rider through. Holdcroft tapping away behind her, continuing to move, continuing to catch and pass the riders on the road. Then those indeed are Category 2, Category 3 and Category 4 riders. Taking a look back down the climb, we've got Sidlick and Tidholm riding together at 20 seconds behind Holdcroft. Then further down, Van Hove. Well, actually, it's looking like Van Hove has caught them. So now we're seeing some momentum behind in terms of the Category 1 riders starting to come together. This is going to be an interesting 4.3 kilometre run to the finish line, because this is Steph Sidlick. She is pushing on. Holdcroft has gone over the top of the mountain in second fastest time to Kulczynski. Sidlick here now coming through P3 at the top of the climb in Category 1.
And it's 31 seconds between Sidlick and Holdcroft, and Kulczynski. She had 38 seconds at the start of the climb. She's gone up the climb 7 seconds quicker. I would make that about 45 seconds at the summit. So she's not really extended her lead all that much to Maria Holdcroft. She has to the rest of the riders, and you can see Sidlick, Tidholm, Van Hove, then Larson and McCarthy coming over. They're your top 7 on the screens there, Emma. Anything you draw from that that's going to help us on the way down in terms of predicting what's going to happen?
Well, for me, it's the gaps between those groups of chasing Category 1 riders that is going to be key here, because if they can come together, that's going to create momentum and motivation to pull back into the top of that race field, because those top 5 positions come with prize money today. And whilst Kolchinsky might be clear at the moment, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th place are wide open at the moment, and if those groups can work together, Kolchinsky may come back.
And it's going to be about being able to work smoothly together to make that happen. So let's have a look at our riders on your screens at the moment. Left-hand side, you've got Kristen Kolchinsky, KK herself, on the way down the descent, the Category 1 leader in that polka dot skin suit. On the right-hand side, you've got Philippa Hill, the polka dot skin suit, the leader in terms of time over the top of the mountain, over the top of the Canberra climb in Category 3, and leader on the road. She's joined, of course, with the riders there, Nolan Kekkonen and Angel Hadlock behind. Beltran at the moment is at 36 seconds. And that is going to make life difficult. She was at 15 seconds as she came over the top of the summit. She was with them on the way in. 15 seconds lost at the summit. That gap has now grown to 30 seconds as they move on to the flatlands at the base of the descent. So that's our Category 3 riders. Left-hand side of your screen, you can see our leaders in Category 2. So these 5 riders who were together as they came up the climb, they're all together on the way down. Dana Wagner there in that polka dot skin suit in Category 2. So a real mix of races at the moment with different groups, different numbers of riders in each of those groups, and we're now going to see the pursuit that is taking place behind Kristen Kolchinsky. You can see we're in with Joanna Tidholm at the moment. You've got Stephanie Sidlick, though, is up
just
the road.
Up there, see?
Ooh, you just see just going around these corners. So we've got Van Hove. We've got a 2nd category rider at Montgomery. We've got a Category 4 rider. That's Naves in there as well. This group, if they can come together, that is going to give them the driving force. Kolchinsky, though, sat
taking
down
a big rest. So that was really interesting. Kolchinsky there completely coming off the power, taking a rest on that descent. She's got the time, she's got the gap, and she needs to now compose herself for this finish. It's a long downhill and then fairly flat run to the finish today, where that checkered flag comes at 35 kilometres. She's at 25.4. She's got just under 10 kilometres to go. So Kolchinsky now got to time trial her way to the finish line. She's got Julia Walkenhurst for company, the Category 2 rider at the moment ahead of her. So as we continue to see Kolchinsky in the lead, she's now settling at a strong pace, at a time trial pace to this finish line.
So this run in is going to be critical, dependent on who is where as they hit the base of the descent. Let's take a look at the course profile and let's show you what is in front of the riders. Now, Emma, it's 14.3k from the summit. That descent down, I think it's about 5.5k. So it's about 9k when they hit the base of the descent. It's quite critical what they do here.
It is, and it is fairly rolling. So it is not a flat running, but what we see tends to happen on this course is groups start to come together on the road, and not just of single categories, but multiple category groups tend to come together, and then they tend to roll very quickly. So that is going to be absolutely crucial. So that final 9 kilometres, we've got the Canberra sprint there at 31 kilometres, just a 300 metre sprint section, but it is crucial because it will give us some data on what is going on in the race. Then we've got that run to the finish line at 35 kilometres.
And it's bumpy. Do not be confused by the fact it doesn't look exceedingly big, the height differences there, because that is set against the height of the Canberra climb itself, and because of course the gradients are quite steep on each of those bumps, that is going to impact, and that is what can break up groups when they are riding together. And it's about then using your strength together to pull back riders. Now, leader on the left-hand side, this is Kristen Kolchinsky, the leader in Category 1. Behind, Tidholm, Van Hove and Sidlick were together. However, it looks to me like Tidholm is so strong at the moment on the front, she's opening a little bit of a gap.
Wow, she's opened a little bit of a gap, but there's 10 riders between Kolchinsky and the Tidholm group at the moment. And let me just take a quick check. I think there's about 600 metres as well. So Kristen Kolchinsky leading the Category 1 race, 600 metres at the moment ahead of the chasing group. But Kolchinsky at the moment more consistent on the power, and just taking a look at the pace, well, she is on the downslope of the climb, whereas the others are on the upslope. So the parkour does play a role.
And sandwiched in between, let's not forget, we've got Maria Holcroft in those 9 riders, sandwiched in between our leader and the big chasing group behind, who are going to try and come together. So that's Category 1. Right-hand side of your screen, let's jump across to Category 2. I'm just looking to see, I've just seen 4 green jerseys in there, and it looks like we've got Giannatti in the mix as well. So we've got all of the riders. It's 5 in total, because of course we've got Dana Wagner in the polka dot skin suit of our climb leader and climb winner, because we have only the one categorized climb. If you're enjoying this, if you're enjoying the racing, if you're enjoying watching these riders together, you want to know what skills they need, the best way to do that is to jump on board your bike. Download MyWhoosh. We've got the new update out there. You can download on iOS, on Android, on Windows. You can have the standard MyWhoosh or the MyWhoosh HD if you've got a nice super duper graphics machine as we do in the studios. And probably the best way to do that is to jump onto a team time trial. The OTR guys have been running team time trials, really successful. 2 leagues now running on MyWhoosh. Did I see you jump on a ride?
You might have done. I would recommend that you just jump on and ride first. But of course, there are many things you can jump on and ride out there. So indeed, the OTR team time trial is indeed one. And yes, the Aeonian Divas did ride this week, and we will be back. But there are other opportunities as well. Other races. There is a multitude of training programs out there, and live workouts, video on demand with a coach. I have done some of those as well. Absolutely fantastic and really motivating to have somebody on screen with you.
Yep, a real life person. You can catch up with all those details, don't forget, on the YouTube channel, as well as on mywhoosh.com. Come and join our riders out and racing. We'd also love you, I'm going to take the opportunity very quickly whilst we're just on the running towards the finish, to give you a quick heads up. On the 26th of July, the team from Flamme Rouge Racing are doing a test event of the World Championship courses and stages, the 3 key events out there. So the 26th of June, Emma's just corrected me there. So the team are out there. It's going to be really interesting to see how those courses ride. You can jump on and ride. So a bit like we had for Paris, there was a mountain bike test event on the course to test the course and the infrastructure, the grandstands, the PA, the sound, how it rides, what to expect. Exactly the same thing happening on the 26th. That's the Flamme Rouge Racing. It's a World Champs test event. You can join them. 2 opportunities to ride. There's 2 times, isn't there?
There is indeed. 10 a.m. UTC and 6 p.m. UTC.
So it's quite a time difference between those 2 times. So find a slot, jump on board. We'd love to see you jumping on board and doing that. So go on to MyWhoosh. Don't forget, you can get the details. It is on at MyWhoosh on social media. You can catch up with it at Flamme Rouge Racing. And it's your chance to ride those worlds, to ride those stages and know what the people who are going to be racing the World Championships are going to be going through. I think Emma's likely to be on there.
I might.
We will see. Probably in the early time slot, I would imagine, Emma.
I don't know. I might have to see. I quite like the idea of riding those courses that the World Championships are going to be on later this year.
Well, we will see what that brings. But before that, we've got lots more racing to come. Don't forget, of course, the Sunday Race Club every single Sunday coming out here on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel and on Twitch TV. Please do join us for that. Make sure you subscribe. And, of course, we've got the men's race coming up after the women's. We're heading into the final few kilometres, though, with our riders out on the road at the moment. The furthest down the road, well, it is the leaders in Category 3. And that is the riders at 31.8k, 31.1 for category 4, 31.1 at the moment for category 2, because they're right on the heels of the leaders in category 4. Category 2 and category 4 riders likely to come together. The green jerseys here of category 2 with that polka dot skin suit there of Dana Wagner, making the way up to the heels of the category 4 leaders. And you can just see Georgina Jones in there in the polka dot jersey, the leading climber in category 4. That's the right hand side of your screen. Left hand side now on the main screen, this is Kristen Kolczynski.
Well, let's just take a look at that. So category 4, Jones, Zabata, Simkin and Bremner, 4 riders in the leading group. Category 3, Montoya, Kekkonen, Hill, Hadlock and Beltran are through the sprint, but it's Kekkonen, Hill and Hadlock who are the 3 leading riders. In category 2, Wagner and Vittori, London, Giannatti and Cassani, they are the 5 riders through the sprint section at the moment in that leading group.
So the riders coming in, taking a right-hand turn here. They've got Kolczynski in here now. Just to make things very interesting for you and for us, Kristen Kolczynski has taken the sprint points so far as well. That means that she's the rider in the green skin suit with the number 1 on her back. Molly Weston is also in a green skin suit with a number 2 on her back. So this is very, very interesting because Kolczynski has got a chasing group of riders in category 2 for company. And that means that they and her can benefit from added draft, more riders in the draft. It will help those category 2 riders having Kristen Kolczynski on the front and motoring as she is now, if they could stay in her wheels on this course, on the run through towards the finish. They're at 31.9k. Up in front, you have got the category 2 leaders, which is this group that you can see on your screen now. They're chasing on to the back of the category 4 leaders, who are the group they're about to catch the other side of this archway. Are they together, just about to make contact? So category 2 leaders with the category 4 leaders, the first riders on the course furthest up the road are the category 3 leaders. How far in front are they?
Well, let me just tell you, between them, and she's the next rider that this large now mixed group are going to catch. She's just round the bend up ahead. Now, if Beltran can indeed stay in this group, Kekkonen, Hadlock and Vittori, hold on a minute, it's Kekkonen, Hill, and Hadlock, who are the riders down the road. So those 3 riders leading category 3 on the right-hand side of your screen are the leaders on the road at the moment. This is the chasing group. The chasing group contains the leaders in category 2, the leaders in category 4, and the leader in category 1.
So this is going to be a really interesting. Leaders on the road, other than category 3 on the left-hand side of your screen. On the right-hand side of your screen, the leaders on the road, 3 riders, Hill, Kekkonen and Hadlock on the way in towards the finish. They are at 33.7k, 1.3k, 1,300 metres from our finish line here today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club on qualifier race number 3. Behind them, currently at 33.2k, 600 metres behind the leaders in category 2, who are moving so fast that they have shed the chaser in category 2, 3 and 4. Nobody is with them. They are absolutely flying, and they are pretty much the fastest moving group on the road.
They're being the fastest group on the road at the moment because they do not want that big chase group to come and catch them. The chase group that contains Kristen Kolczynski, the leader in category 1, because they do not want her to tow any of the other riders up. So these riders now absolutely fighting for the finish line. It's 700 metres to go for the leading 3 in category 3. Hill, Hadlock and Kekkonen. They are absolutely motoring, and Philippa Hill has gone for a long one here. She's pushing on at the moment. She's got 600 metres still to go, and she's utilising the downhill section of this course to gain momentum for the finish. So she takes the right-hand bend, and she can see the run to the finish line at the moment. It's still on a downhill trajectory. 6 watts per kilo from Philippa Hill. She's at 57 kilometres an hour. Hadlock is doing the chasing. She sat back and waited a little bit longer, but Kekkonen is now coming. They're going to sweep round the left-hand bend, and they're going to see that finish line. Is Hill going to make it? Will Hill take the win today in Category 3? I think the answer is going to be yes, she will. Philippa Hill takes the win in Category 3. Hadlock and Kekkonen fighting it out for second place, and Novelin Kekkonen takes it from Hadlock. Well, here come Category 2, Giannatti, Wagner, Vittori. They are all running in here, running in fast, and they've got 700 metres to go.
700 metres. Will we see the same thing? Will we see that early kick? This is where we saw that move from Hill. She went early. She pushed all the way in and through. Who's going to take a flyer? Is anybody going to go early? At the moment, it looks like Giannatti's the one winding it up. I've just seen 9 watts per kilo coming out of Hannah Giannatti. But London's got nearly 11. She's gone to 11 watts per kilo.
So Sarah London winds this up now on the chase for Hannah Giannatti, the young rider leading this out in Category 2 at the moment. Kasani, Wagner and Vittori all in the mix as Wagner comes up and over the top. She's got the polka dot banner, but she's also got the power to take the win here. Does anybody have anything? Is Dana Wagner going to take this? I think she is, but Kasani is coming. Does Kasani make it? No, she doesn't. Dana Wagner takes the win from Kasani. No! Oh, I think this is going to be a seriously close call at the moment. I've got Wagner, Kasani, Giannatti, London and Vittori. Well, I'm so pleased the computer was calling that too.
Well, here we are. This is our leader in Category 1 on her way into the line. Kristen Kulczynski takes the win in Category 1. Broke clear. Solo to victory. What a ride by Kristen Kulczynski. Oh my goodness, nobody had an answer.
Well, Maria Holdcroft has been chasing Kulczynski all the way up the Canberra climb. She's chasing her into the finish line now as Holdcroft kicks around the corner. The chases are around 30 seconds back, so Holdcroft doing a phenomenal solo ride for second place today. Second to Kristen Kulczynski. Maria Holdcroft, congratulations. Well, Sidlick, Tidholm and Van Hove are going to chase this out for third. Lamcon comes over the top in Cat 2, but it's Tidholm pushing here from Sidlick and Van Hove. So Tidholm's going to take third place. Sidlick, I think, is going to take fourth. Van Hove is in there as well. In fact, Van Hove just pipping Sidlick on the line there for fourth place. Wow.
Wow, indeed. An absolutely frantic run into the line in all of our race categories. We've run through categories 1 and 2 and 3. Category 4, I think, is up at the moment. Our top indeed. 3 riders, Emma.
So Melissa Simkin taking the win in Category 4 from Georgina Jones, from Bridget Bremner, from Sandra Ferran.
So that's your current list at the moment. Oh, sorry, it's going to be a change.
Sabata actually took the win there.
So Sabata taking the win.
From Simkin, from Jones, from Bremner, from Ferran.
That's your top 5. Don't forget, all of the results are live on MyWhoosh.com. Please do have a look. Remember, they're live and they'll be official once they've been verified. An amazing race today on a fantastic course. We've got a brand new course coming up in our men's race, which will be coming up shortly here on MyWhoosh. Please do join us for that. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give it a like. Please do jump on board. You can get hold of me. It's at Matt Fix Paint. Emma, where can we find you?
You can find me at biking_Emma on Instagram.
So please do catch up with us, catch up with the team. Our best wishes to our director behind the scene, who we know is poorly at the moment, doing an amazing job. As always, we wouldn't know if he hadn't actually told us. So our best wishes to him. It's not because he's been partying too hard, we are assured. Now, this just leaves me to say, along with Emma, we will see you hopefully for the men's race, if not for the next Sunday Race Club next week. But from Emma and myself, stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Eid Mubarak.